Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to talk about retrograde planets and what they could mean for you, because retrograde planets are so important to pay attention to. Now, in reality, planets are not really going backwards or not really going retrograde, but it is in the process of, as planets orbit the sun, we have Earth may be coming along and we pass another planet in the orbit as we orbit around the sun. So it is relative to our speed and our orbit to the other planets that they appear to go retrograde. Now, they're not actually going retrograde, but it is from our vantage point, from our perception, that the planets are going retrograde. But in reality, well, we are all the planets are revolving and orbiting the sun in forward direction. But that's so important to understand, that it is from our perception that everything always matters and counts. So I want to talk about retrograde planets right now because there are so many planets that are about to go retrograde or that are retrograde. And right now, as I speak, we're in April of 2016. And April 17th, we have Mars that will turn retrograde. On the same day, Pluto will turn retrograde. They're in different signs. Mars is in Scorpio, Pluto is in Sagittarius, and Mars is turning retrograde with Saturn in Scorpio, and Saturn turned retrograde last month in March. So Mars and Saturn will both be retrograde, Pluto will be retrograde, Jupiter went retrograde in January of 2016, it will turn direct in May. So that will be approximately when Jupiter turns direct, May 9th. And then we have Mercury retrograde. Mercury, of course, goes retrograde 3 times a year approximately and stays retrograde for about 3 weeks. This time it will go retrograde April 28th, and it will turn direct, or it will stay retrograde through May 22nd in the sidereal sign of Aries. So looking at this, we have Mercury retrograde, we have Saturn, Mars retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, and Pluto retrograde. 5 planets are retrograde. What does that mean? Retrograde is a process. I call it the cyclic process, because on this planet, everything is about cycles. It's about the ebb and flow of things. So when you have the cycles, such as the tides, there's always a time when the tide will pull out and will pull back in. So it's always about this cyclic process. And this is very much a part of what our lives are about, a cyclic process. So when planets are retrograde, they are actually closer to the Earth. And you can go out in the night sky and they're brighter. Just as right now you can go out in the night sky and you see Jupiter as the bright, shining, looks like a star, but of course it's a planet, but it's the brightest object in the sky because it's retrograde right now. It's closest to the Earth. So because they're closer to the Earth, it's important to know they are making a statement. They are trying to tell us something. Whatever the planets are indicators of, when they go retrograde, it's time to pay attention, to heed the signs of what the planets are trying to tell us. When we pay attention to the cycles, it is like paying attention to the cyclic processes, being aware, being conscious. And so when we heed the messages of the planets, it makes life easier. It makes life, you're more in accordance to the flow of things. You're not traveling upstream. You're in the flow. You're in the cyclic process, and you're following through with the energy, the vibrational energy of the planets. So talking about what they're indicators of, let's talk about Mercury first. Mercury is all about communication skills. It's about listening. It's about speaking. It's about anything that transfers information, which can be telephones, computers, the internet, any of the social medias. They all come under Mercury because they're all about communication. So we have this vast array of social media that is all affected by the cycle of Mercury. When it goes retrograde, things are going to go haywire unless we take the time to really reassess things. Because remember when planets go retrograde, and specifically now I'm talking about Mercury, it's a time to reassess and reevaluate everything that begins with RE and reflect. So reassess, reevaluate, review, reorganize, reflect. That's what the retrograde of Mercury is truly about. It's not that it's bad, it's that it's time for us to pull back and reassess and reanalyze our direction and where we're going in life. The problem is in life that we're trained to always push forward and never take the time to really pull back. And that's why everything goes haywire while Mercury is retrograde, according to what Mercury rules. So it's every form of communication, plus don't forget travels. If you're traveling during this Mercury retrograde, you can rest assured things are going to go wrong. Computers are going to go down, there's going to be delays, there's going to be mechanicals, there's going to be flights canceled. It's just the nature of this aspect. Always this affects travel when Mercury goes retrograde. So just make your plans accordingly, being aware that this will occur. When you're mentally prepared, things are never as bad. So when we talk about Mars retrograde, Mars is about our anger. It's about our emotions, our feelings. It's about action. And let me tell you something, when people don't get what they want, that's when they get angry. And because Mars is so close with Saturn right now in the sign of Scorpio, this causes many setbacks, delays, because Mars wants to go forward, but Saturn pulls back. What do you have with Saturn-Mars conjunction? Setbacks, delays, frustration. People become more angry. And with Mars going retrograde, we have the opportunity to really look at our issues that make us angry. And usually what it boils down to is not getting what you want, or that you are in conflict with others that don't do what you expect them to do. Let it go. Let this go. And really take the time to be responsible, to look at what's going on within you in terms of the issues that make you angry. Saturn is retrograde right now. What is Saturn all about? Responsibility. That's Saturn. So it's time for us to look at the responsibility. It's going to be keyed into our issues of anger because Mars and Saturn are together, and they are both going retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, which Scorpio is emotions, deep-seated, powerful emotions. And this is what this is going to dredge up, and for us to get a clear opportunity to look at, reanalyze, and heal. Now, Jupiter is retrograde right now. As I said, it went retrograde in January, but it will go direct in May. So Jupiter is about our opportunities. It's about our optimism. It's about our happiness. And we have been sort of out of control with all of that. So it is an opportunity for us to look at what we're grateful for. That's how I see Jupiter. And Pluto is volatile energy, and you will see, because Pluto is retrograde, and many times the outer planets reflect the mass consciousness more so than individual consciousness, because they're the collective consciousness, and they do pretty much have a lot to do with world events. So this is explosive events happening in the world, and this does affect us personally because we become fearful and we become aware of the global effects and how it affects us personally and in our personal lives. So don't let your angers destroy your personal relationships right now. Use this time to really reflect, to look within, because with 5 planets being retrograde, it's time for us to be aware of the cyclic process that's occurring in the world and is reflected deep within our hearts and our souls as well. So with that, I hope you have a better understanding of retrogrades and the cyclic process and how it affects our world and consciousness, both globally as well as individually and personally. So with that, I'd like to close. If you want more information, you can always go to my website, or if you would like a reading, you can also go to schedule a reading on my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Thank you.